What is up, film geeks, and welcome back to the channel. Deadpool and Wolverine is the 34th movie to join the MCU, and it is absolutely dominating at the box office. In honor of Deadpool and Wolverine hitting theaters, we are going to rank all 34 MCU movies by placing them on their proper tiers. Join me down below in the comment section. What is your favorite and least favorite MCU movie, and what did you make of Deadpool and Wolverine? I think enough time has passed. There will be spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine inside this ranking. Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Let's hop into these tiers. Starting off with our tiers, we have top 5, great, good, underrated, overrated, meh, and bottom 5. First and foremost, the movie that started it all, friends. It's the first Iron Man, which I'm putting in the great tier. I think people truly underestimate just how, mesmerizing this movie was. Started off the franchise that we know and love today. Robert Downey Jr. was such a question mark. Who knew he was going to be this good? Well, we didn't, and my goodness, was it just fantastic. Then we have Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is going to be the first one in the bottom 5 because I have not gone back to rewatch Iron Man 2 since I was probably 12, 13 years old. One of those MCU movies that I've seen maybe only 2 times. Definitely need to go back and give it a rewatch. That's all there really is to say about it. Then moving on to Avengers Age of Ultron. First one going into the underrated tier. Avengers Age of Ultron does not get talked about nearly enough. This movie, in my opinion, is a fantastic sequel with a fantastic villain and fantastic introduction to new characters, giving our boy Hawkeye a little more of a limelight. He's got a family. And seeing the big bad who's really beating up our Avengers, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, you didn't see that coming. I mean, it's fantastic. Thor. I'm honestly putting Thor in the underrated tier as well. Every time I go back to revisit this one, which is more often than you might think, I have a good time with it. I have a fun time with it. I love the mythology of Thor and his Viking brothers in Valhalla. I think that's also interesting. And then we got Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, I'm not going to put in underrated or overrated. I'm just going to put in the good tier. I defend Iron Man 3 quite a bit. I remember seeing this one in theaters, watching the trailer, getting so dang excited for it. Is the whole Mandarin twist not that great? Sure, there's some problems in here. Shane Black, what were you doing with this? Trying to get rid of our boy Tony Stank? But can't do that. So, just make sure we just kind of wash that away and give Pepper Pot powers. It all was going to work out so well. And the young little Iron Man kid who ended up showing Endgame at Tony's funeral. And the third act, I thought was just fantastic. Then we have Captain America, Winter Soldier. I think this is a great movie. I think this is a good movie. But I'm also going to put this in the overrated tier because I see a lot of people say this is the best MCU movie. And my friends, I don't think so. I love this movie. This isn't a negative overrated, but I definitely see people overhyping it. For me, I don't get into the overhype. Do I think it's a really good movie? 8.5 out of 10? I really do. So it could go in those other tiers. I just see people I'm getting aggressive with this movie. How great it is. It's the best ever. Blah, blah, blah. Whoa. I disagree. Then we have Eternals. Going in the bottom 5 tier. Eternals was one of the biggest disappointments in movies I've ever seen in my life. I always say this would have worked so much better as a TV series, but nonetheless, we've got a movie and didn't do too good at the box office. We're talking about getting a sequel. Does anyone want a sequel to Eternals? I don't think so. Then we have Ant-Man. The first Ant-Man, which I'll go, I guess, in the good tier. A criminal becomes a superhero. Not something we see every day, but I like that we got to see it. Thor: The Dark World. How about Thor: The Dark World and meh? It's just unmemorable. I think there was good moments in this movie. I think when Thor has Loki in his arms dying, he cries. They hit you in the feels. But we all gonna get upset now, and I find myself doing this where we just kill heroes and we bring them back. They've been doing this since Thor: The Dark World, people. So nothing new at this point. Avengers. The first Avengers from 2012. This is going in the top 5 tier because the first Avengers was the first movie I ever saw 3 times in theaters. Saw with all my friends all 3 times. I absolutely loved it. And this is my favorite version of Bruce Banner / the Hulk that we've ever gotten because the Hulk is someone who I always just loved. And I thought he was such a compelling character because he had to hold in his rage. But that's his secret. He's always angry. And then every now and then that rage would just come out. And happened to be the Hulk, a giant green rage smashing machine. I thought it was fantastic. I thought he was such a well-written character. And then what we got with him now in the MCU, I'm not a fan, but this version of the Hulk is my favorite. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's a great movie. And it'll jerk you on the tears, man. It will just bring them out of you because I haven't gone back to rewatch this one. I tried to rewatch it at home on Disney Plus, and my wife and I were starting to cry again. I was like, this is just too much. But in the theaters last year, this was one of the best experiences because everyone was so emotional, everyone was so invested. You had a great villain, the High Evolutionary, and Rocket was he's just the man. He's one of my top 10 favorite MCU heroes. Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first one, also going in the great tier. No one knew this was going to work. I didn't even know who these characters were, but my goodness, were they so fleshed out. My goodness, was it done so well. My goodness, James Gunn. My goodness. Just James Gunn is the absolute man. I'm excited for his DCU. I'm excited to see what he does. But with the Guardians of the Galaxy, how much fun he brought to this misfit of characters was absolutely perfect. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. I'm going bottom 5. Not Quantum Mania. I apologize. Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's all it is. After Infinity War, you expect a kind of a big bang, and I've seen this movie once in theaters right after Infinity War. I didn't care for it. I really didn't care for it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm going to put in the underrated tier because I see a lot of people hate on this movie. Oh, Quill's daddy. Quill's got daddy issues. He does. And I'm here for those daddy issues because, man, just hit home, all right? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I think, is just as funny, and Yondu being that father figure to Peter that we didn't know he needed, that he didn't know he needed. He may be a father boy, but he ain't Joe Daddy. I mean, it's one of the best scenes inside the MCU. Then the reason we're doing this tier list, my friends, is Deadpool and Wolverine. We're going to talk about this for just a second because Deadpool and Wolverine, it just worked on every level, and it really worked on the surprise level because Ryan Reynolds said they weren't really cameos, they were more so surprises because everyone here has a role. First surprise being Chris Evans as the Human Torch. Didn't see that coming. When he said flame on, I started dying laughing. I was like, wow. I thought he was going to say Avengers Assemble again. That was really cool. And then seeing basically all the misfit heroes. Elektra, wow. Wesley Snipes showed up. I let out the biggest, oh shit, in theaters. It was so freaking cool. And Gambit. Gambit, no lie, is one of my favorite comic book characters ever. He is absolutely so cool. Channing Tatum finally got his limelight at this, and he's just one of the coolest freaking characters. So freaking cool to see him. This movie worked. There's certain scenes with Hugh Jackman, who's my favorite part about this movie, but the car scene, you guys know what I'm talking about, when they're sitting there and Hugh Jackman has this monologue basically about how much he hates Wade. It hits so hard, and he goes, I'm going to fight you now. He's like, oh, are you? And boom, they fight, and they have such a great fight scene. So great. Sean Levy, kiss you. Love you, brother. Deadpool Wolverine going in the great tier. Not top 5, but it's going in that great tier. It's got to. Captain Marvel. I'll go Captain Marvel in the meh tier. Thought it was solid. Thought it was very, very okay. That's kind of it. It was okay. So it's meh. Black Widow. Black Widow, I'll go in good. This one just had no urgency. This had no real, I guess, repercussions because it was a prequel. We knew that she was going to be okay throughout it. She's already dead somewhere else. Really cool to see Elena and Red Guardian. Really dug that. Spider-Man Homecoming. This is so underrated, my friends. This is arguably my favorite Spider-Man movie. Not an origin story, but our first time seeing Tom Holland with a solo Spider-Man movie inside the MCU, trying to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and Tony Stark's in his corner, and Tony Stark just out there kind of bullying him around, saying you can't do this, whatever. And he's like, I can't protect the streets with no streets, there's no neighborhood. So I thought it was great. When Vulture opens that door, my friends, that is my favorite plot twist of all time. To this day, I get chills, and I never saw it coming. Never, ever. Avengers Infinity War. Top 5. Spoiler alert, it's my favorite movie inside the MCU, and this is arguably my top 3 favorite movies of all time. Everything about this movie works. I talk about it all the time, so I won't stay on it long. Losing our characters, the ones we didn't think we would lose, was so perfect. Thanos winning is one of the best endings written in cinematic history, and I'll die on that hill. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. This is just meh, and Kang is overrated. Am I happy they're moving on from him? Yes, because I didn't think he was that menacing of a villain, but I did want to see his story play out. Maybe one day we'll get Kang and Jonathan Majors back, but as of right now, we're going Dr. Doom. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania, it was just meh. I saw it once in theaters, and I was like, don't need to see that again. Don't be a dick. Black Panther. Good tier. Killmonger, great villain. The world of Wakanda being explored. So fantastic. Leading us into Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which I thought was great because this movie hits you just so much in the feels, and I thought that the way the score was created and the way that you lose your main hero in the Black Panther and then Shuri has to take his place, I thought it all worked so well. I thought the visuals were fantastic. And it was one of those movies that just really hit me in the feels, and every time I think about it, I'm like, God, that's just a great movie. You know what? We'll put Black Panther up there with it because Chadwick Boseman's the man. He gives a fantastic performance, and Killmonger is built like a brick shithouse, man. It's insane. Avengers Endgame. Avengers Assemble. right behind my Infinity War. This is my second favorite MCU movie. Thor Bowski works for me. I see a lot of people it doesn't. It works for me. His entire life gets destroyed, and he goes depressed, and he gets fat, and he gets drunk, and he turns to alcohol, and that worked for me. I thought that was actually, yes, funny, but I thought that was actually very relatable. Getting all our heroes back, and then having that fight with our big three and Thanos at the end, and then the portals, and everyone comes back. I mean, Avengers Assemble. It's one of the most, I don't think I'll have a more epic moment in the theater besides Avengers Endgame, because when those portals open, hey, Cap, can you hear me? On your left. Boom! That was insane. Thor Ragnarok. I like Thor Ragnarok. Same thing with Winter Soldier. I'm just going to throw this in the overrated because I've been seeing a lot of people having this in the top 3 lately. And for me, not too much because this is strictly a comedy. And comedies work very well in the beginning. When you go back to rewatch them, not so much. I would say it's still the best Thor movie. But nonetheless, it's still a little bit overrated. Spider-Man Far From Home. Overrated as well. I don't dig it. I don't really dig it too much at all. And that's a hot take, and I apologize for it. Jake Gyllenhaal's performance is great. Tom Holland is good, but I just felt like, what? That's it? That's all I felt like. I just felt like that's it, because it came after Endgame, and I feel like I was supposed to be, like, I guess, more wowed than I was, because Endgame was great, but Mysterio, how everything led into No Way Home, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Doctor Strange. I'll put Doctor Strange in a good tier. Not want to go back to rewatch every now and then, but the most recent rewatch, I enjoyed it more. It's one of my dad's favorite movies he's seen. It was awesome, so that makes me like it a little bit more as well. Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home very well might go in the top 5 tier. It never was there before, but it snuck its way in there now. I would say it's right at number 5. Spider-Man No Way Home, I think about it a lot. I always go back and go like, this is just fan service. If I just shut up for a second, smack myself in the face and say, you know what? Seeing Andrew Tobey and Tom Holland, Spider-Man all on screen at one time with all the Spider-Man villains. Spider-Man's my favorite superhero of all time. This is the ultimate Spider-Man movie. Therefore, I'm putting it in the top 5 tier at number 5 itself. The Marvels. The Marvels is going in the bottom 5 tier. The Marvels, just what happened? I mean, it was just subplot, side quest, another subplot. Not for me. No, thank you. I'm going to go with The Incredible Hulk in the underrated tier. I'm starting to give this movie more and more love because I love the Hulk. And Edward Norton did a fine job. Definitely a little bit of the black sheep of the MCU. The post-credit scene with RDJ makes it pretty cool. I would like to see another solo Hulk movie like this one day because it works. It works. A little MCU flair. I'm down for that. Captain America, the First Avenger. Overrated. I don't like this one too much. I've seen it one time. I was like 11 or 12 years old when I saw it in theaters, and I just didn't care for it. So maybe one day if I go back and rewatch it ever, which I probably never will, but if I ever do, maybe I will enjoy it just a little bit more. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm going to put this in the underrated tier because I feel like no one talks about Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was so freaking fire, bro. The action is so damn good. Simu Liu is so cool. He's so badass, and I love the lore in a way that they kind of go into this world. It's so fantastic, and Wenwu is a fantastic villain. They did my boy Wenwu dirty, but one of the most menacing villains. When Wenwu showed up, it was like when your dad showed up and you knew you were in trouble. You're like, oh shit. That's what Wenwu reminded me of. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I'll go in the good tier. I enjoyed this one. I had fun with this one. I like the cameos in this one. These ones were strictly cameos rather than surprises. They were there to get the fans hyped up rather than have actually further the plot. Sam Raimi, pretty cool entry inside the MCU. Thor, Love and Thunder. Bottom 5. Arguably my most disappointed movie ever. I was thoroughly excited going into this. When I came out of it, it's one of my least favorite movies I've ever seen. It was just a parody of Thor in the world of the MCU. I can't believe this movie got greenlit. I really, really can't. It's actually, fun fact, my least favorite MCU movie. So there it is for the bottom 5. And finally, to finish off our top 5, we have Captain America Civil War. That's going right there. I would say right here, this will go right above No Way Home, and that is my top 5 order. Infinity War, Endgame, Avengers, Civil War, and Spider-Man No Way Home. These top 5 are absolutely fantastic, but Captain America Civil War makes you choose. Are you Team Cap or are you Team Tony? And it's tough to decide because save his hands are still our own. I say that quote quite a bit for work, and I'm a firm believer in that. I love this movie. I love what it represents. I love how it turns brothers against each other. It's so sad. It's emotional. Man, I love Captain America Civil War. Sorry, Tony. He was my friend. So was I. Woo! Woo! Hits right in the feels. My friends, that's going to do it for our MCU updated ranking. All 34 movies placed on their proper tiers. I have hot takes, and that is A-okay. Let me know your hot takes, favorite and least favorite MCU movie down below in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification button. Thanks for watching and being here supporting. I'm talking fast, I'm talking a lot. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.